Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Smart Tea podcast, where we talk about the lives of scientists and innovators who shape the world. I'm Aarati,
I'm Jyoti, Arti's mom.
and we are so excited to be back with another episode. We just had such a great time last episode talking about Frances Oldham Kelsey and thalidomide. And we were talking about the episode even after we got off. And actually, Mom, you told me something really interesting about thalidomide that I did not know. You want to tell people what you told me?
Yeah, I had been looking it up, and thalidomide, for all its bad rep and everything, is still in the market today as a chemotherapeutic against myelomas. It is given to myeloma patients with dexamethasone. So it's actually mind-boggling that for something like morning sickness, they were actually peddling a drug as toxic as a chemotherapeutic. But I just wanted to put it out there that hey, that drug that had its won its notoriety or it justifiably obtained its bad rep is still in the market today for other purposes. It's been repurposed as a cancer drug. Yes.
Yeah, I had no idea about that. I had thought that once they had stopped the NDA from going forward and that the company had withdrawn thalidomide from the US markets and from the European markets as well. I thought that was it. I thought it had been finished and it was off the market completely. I had no idea that they were still trying to, you know, find another
it
use for
they,
it,
they they
use it for
repurposed it.
cancer.
Yeah, it's still not off the market.
That's
it is
crazy to
it is a
me.
chemo, yeah, it is chemo, but you have to think about it. So it's a teratogen, and it's angiogenesis inhibitor, which means no new blood vessels. And that is why probably they had all these problems with the nerves and things like that. So the person with myeloma is probably weighing their options and saying, will I take a little bit of pain, because of my nerve endings being damaged
Hmm.
temporarily, hopefully, or do I die of cancer? And so
Yeah.
this is the kind of choices people are making who are actually on the dock for getting thalidomide. Yeah.
And at least this time it's fully transparent and they
Yes.
know the risks
Yes.
and they
And
know
they will
what's
not
they're
give it,
getting in.
hopefully there is enough sense in the medical world, in the world out there overall. There is
Yeah.
enough common sense for people to know, don't give it to a lady who might possibly become pregnant.
Yes.
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 Don't
Yes.
give it to those kind of patients.
Well, that's super cool to know. I had no idea
Yes.
about that. So that's
Yes.
awesome. Good to know. Thanks for sharing.
No worries. And what do you have on for today? I'm just enjoying myself so much. I'm eager and I'm excited to go.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. This episode, we are going to be taking a hard left turn
Hmm.
from what we did last time. And it's going to be, I hope, a lot of fun. It's just
Hmm.
kind of a silly, fun episode.
I can be silly. I'm
Yeah, you
not too
can.
old to be silly. You know
Great.
how?
That's exactly the energy we need for this
Yeah,
one.
Irma Bombeck, my favorite author. She
Hmm.
said, when you're 20, you worry about what everybody thinks about you, and then
Hmm.
when you're 40, you don't care what anybody thinks about you,
Hmm.
and then when you're 60, you realize nobody is thinking about you.
Yeah.
But then when you're 80, you don't think. You just put on your purple hat and go out and dance in the
Yes.
streets.
Yeah.
So I'm not 80, I'm younger than that, but
Yeah.
I have that energy already. It's like I'm ready to wear my purple hat and dance out in the street. So let's take that
Yeah.
hard
Why
left
wait
turn
until
and
you're 80
have
years
and be
old?
silly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Why
let's
wait
be
until you're
silly
80
now.
years old to do it? Yeah.
Yeah, let's
If
be
you're going to
silly
do it
now.
by the time you're 80 anyway, why not do it
Yes.
now? Yeah.
Yes.
So this episode actually stemmed from my brother Arun.
Hmm.
He was telling me that I should do somebody from like ancient Greek, ancient Roman times.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. We'll take his
Yeah.
advice. What does he want us to do?
Well, he didn't want me to do this guy for sure. He wanted
Okay,
me to do somebody like Archimedes or Ptolemy or something.
okay,
And the
yeah.
problem is when I look into like Pythagoras and those kind of
Mm-hmm.
people, the
Yeah.
problem is, a lot of them are known for kind of one thing, but then when you look at what they've just done so much. They've like,
Ah,
found the volume of a sphere, and they've also figured out Neptune is a planet, and they've also gone and like figured out how to displace water in this particular type of tube. So they've done like so many different disparate things that it's very
yes.
hard to kind of pin them down. So they might be
Yeah.
known for like one specific law, but they
Yeah.
really are just
Yeah.
jacks of all trades. And so
Yeah.
I was really trying to find somebody who is kind of known for one thing and
Yeah.
one thing only to make
Yes. So you
a
manageable. It's
story.
a
Yeah,
manageable
manageable.
story. Otherwise, I'll be
Yeah.
talking about them for the next 3 episodes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I was like,
Yeah.
maybe we'll get to those kinds of people later on, but
It'll be
for
fun.
now,
Yeah.
yeah, for now I just wanted to kind of do one person who was known for one thing and that could fit into one
Yes.
episode.
Yes. And
And
it's nice to actually go into such disparate time frames, because they're all of these people are set in such different backgrounds of time, and
yes.
such different things are happening. So it's, and how these various external influences influence them and their
Yeah.
science and their story. it'll be
Yeah.
it'll be fun to kind of compare in our own heads, as we go from more recently to the FDA all the way back to ancient Greek times, or what, or Roman times, or
Yes.
whatever you said. Yeah, yeah, yeah. it'll
Yes.
be it'll be good to
Yeah.
do that.
So if girl bosses at the FDA aren't your bag, then hopefully this guy will be.
Yeah, yeah.
His name is Pliny the Elder. And
No, oh my
yeah,
goodness, already you lost me already. I need my note. I need what? Pliny, P-L,
Pliny the Elder.
P-L-I, and the Pliny the Elder is his full name.
That's his name. Yeah.
So so
Well,
what? The family had Pliny the Younger, and Pliny the
so
Middle, and Pliny the
his
Youngest.
his full name is Gaius Plinius Secundus.
No way.
So
No,
yeah,
don't even go
exactly.
there. What?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, but I'm interested in knowing the naming ceremonies going on at this time. So it's like,
Yeah.
we have 8 boys and 3 girls, and so it's going to be Pliny the eldest, Pliny the elder,
No, no, no.
Pliny the
So
middle. No,
no.
no. Why not?
So okay, so the reason that he's called Pliny the Elder is
Hmm.
because he had a sister named
Mm.
Plinia, and
Yes,
Plinia had a
yes,
son eventually who was
yes.
also named Gaius Plinius, and that became Pliny the Younger. So his nephew is Pliny the Younger, and
Uh-huh.
he became Pliny the Elder.
This is so reminiscent of my big fat Greek wedding,
Yes.
where they say, "Here
Yes.
is Nick, Nicky."
Nick. Yeah. Nick,
This
Nick. They're all named Nick.
Nick, and
Yeah.
Nicky. I was hoping for a fleeting moment there that it was actually the word elder was used in those days to kind of indicate the village wise man or somebody like that. And so
Yeah.
I almost wondered, hey, did the thing come from there?
Well, that's a good question, actually, because I don't know if people back then called him Pliny the Elder once his nephew
Yeah,
was born, or we
yeah.
just call him that today to
Today,
distinguish
right?
him between
From
him and
the
his nephew.
and the nephew, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I have to say, like, I had never heard of him. He really isn't a household name, but interestingly, when I was researching him, the people who do know about him, it's almost like there's like a secret Pliny the Elder cult, because
Mm,
whenever I saw, like, I was listening to podcasts about him, which
mm,
there are a few out there,
mm,
or watching videos on YouTube about
mm,
him. And like
mm.
whenever people said, today we're going to be talking about Pliny the Elder, the crowd
Mm.
went wild. Like,
Ah,
people are just like, if
it's
you know
almost like a
about
secret.
him,
It's like the secret
yeah,
handshake.
it's kind of crazy. I was listening to a podcast episode from BBC's Radio 4 called Natalie Haynes Stands Up for the Classics, and she mentioned Pliny the Elder in that. People went
Mm,
crazy. There was like a Reddit thread that people were saying, has anyone heard of Pliny the Elder? And everyone was like, oh my God, I love Pliny the Elder. I'm obsessed with him. I love learning about him. I love seeing stuff. And they're all sharing resources about him. So I'm just like, okay.
wow, we are
And then
ignorant, aren't we?
we really are. And there's also a beer called Pliny the Elder
Oh,
from the
oh.
Russian River Brewing Company. which is apparently on a lot of beer enthusiasts' bucket lists. Like
Huh.
if you're into beer, that's one of the beers you want to
You
get your
you
hands
should
on.
you
And
should get it on there. Yeah, you should
yeah,
drink that beer. Okay.
yeah.
Oh my
And so I
goodness.
found a beer blog called Beervana, and they write that, quote, Pliny revealed the full potential of hops and pointed to a juicy revolution that would define the style more than a decade later. Pliny the Elder, and they're talking about the beer here, not the person. Pliny the Elder was in many ways the first fully realized modern American IPA. So
Hmm.
I don't know what half of those
Oh,
things are because I don't
yeah.
drink beer,
I'm
but
losing it. Yeah,
yes, but
yeah.
I
I'm
just
I'm
thought it was
lost.
so interesting
Yeah.
that there's this like whole subculture
Hmm.
around this guy and I'd never
Hmm.
heard of him. So,
Yes. Yes. We are going to enter into a secret world.
like I said, his actual name is Gaius Plinius Secundus, and he
Hmm.
was born around 23 or 24 AD in northern Italy in a
Hmm.
town called Novum Comum, which is
Hmm.
now known as Como. Obviously, because this is so long ago, there's not a ton that we know about him as far as his childhood. We do know his mother's name was Grania Marcella and his father's name was Celer.
Okay.
And like I said, he had a sister named Plinia.
And a nephew named Pliny. Yes.
Yeah, Pliny the
The
Younger.
younger. Yes.
Yes. It's the middle of the Roman Empire, and Pliny's family were equestrians, which is the second highest rank of
Ooh.
society at that time.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So at the top, you have the senatorial rank, which is the governing class. And
Yeah.
they were the wealthiest and they're career politicians. They have supposedly high moral standards.
Okay.
And then the equestrian rank was one rank below that. So they still had a lot of political and economic influence.
Yes, because the equestrians, that means, you're owning horses, and this is very
Hmm.
similar to ancient India, where the wealthy people were the ones who owned cattle. You did not have money as in coins or like
Right.
paper dollar bills or whatever. Your wealth
Right.
was your cattle. Yeah, the political power is in its own right. It's a different being entirely.
Hmm.
That would be the kings or whatever, but the wealthiest people were the ones who owned cattle, and
Yes.
that is probably why it became like the holy cow of India, the holy cow of the
Oh,
Hindus.
yeah. Yeah.
That's where it
That
became
whole
holy, because
stereotype.
hey, you're not going to go around murdering your money. You're not
Yes.
going to go around killing your wealth.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of exactly what this was also. The equestrian people had a lot of property,
Hmm.
especially they went
Yeah.
into business a lot.
Yeah,
They're very
yeah,
good
because
with
if you
like,
have if you have cattle or horses, you need land where they can
yes,
graze. So you have
exactly.
land, you have horses. A person who didn't have land wouldn't even bother to go get himself a
Yeah, where are you going to
horse.
keep it?
Where are you going to keep
Yeah.
the horse? Not in my living room.
Yeah, that's exactly they were known for this. Like equestrians, they were very good with financial and property management and administrative work. So Pliny is born into this equestrian family, and
Yeah.
so the equestrians also kind of came with this expectation
Hmm.
that they were to serve in the military.
They are the ones with the power, the strength.
Yeah,
Yeah. You sit on a horse, you can decapitate somebody from there.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And especially, of course, this is the Roman Empire. They're constantly going on like
Oh,
conquest after
constantly. Yeah.
conquest.
Conquest. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a very important job
Yes.
also.
Yes.
And Pliny took this duty very seriously.
Hmm.
So, as a teenager from a wealthy family, he was educated in Rome in law. And then afterwards, at around the age of 23, Pliny joined the military.
Hmm.
He served 3 tours in Germany over the next 10 years.
Hmm.
And it turns out he was a very talented military man.
Okay.
And he quickly rose in the ranks.
Hmm.
He started out as a junior officer in command of an infantry cohort and
Hmm.
took part in conquering a Germanic river tribe called the Chauci. He was then promoted to the rank of military tribune, and then
Hmm.
several years later, he was promoted again to a cavalry wing commander. While he's in the cavalry, he started writing a lot.
Hmm.
Sometime during his time in Germany, he wrote his first book, the
Hmm.
title of which translates roughly to On the Use of Javelins in the Cavalry.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
Hmm.
we don't really have that book. That book has not survived to modern
Okay.
times, so we don't know
Okay.
exactly what was in it. But he was a prolific writer, and
Hmm.
so because of that, we've learned that probably this book included things like how a man on a horse could use the horse's movements to throw a javelin better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
things like
That
that.
makes a lot of sense. Hmm.
Yeah.
It's in a way a very specific art of warfare, actually.
Yes.
He's focusing on his particular skill set in the war.
Yeah.
That this is what he knows, and he's trying to
He's
teach
writing about
people.
that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
While he's in the army, he also apparently had a dream in which the spirit of Drusus Nero, who's the great grandfather of Emperor Nero, begged Pliny to make sure that Drusus was not forgotten to history.
Oh.
So, Drusus Nero is the one who had started the Roman conquest of Germany in 12 BC. And,
Oh.
now Pliny is
Yes.
continuing to fight
Yes.
in these Germanic wars.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
so Pliny started writing a 20-volume book called Wars in Germany, which was a full account of all the wars that had been going on between the Romans and the Germans in like a
Wow.
tribute to Drusus Nero.
Wow. Wow. What a
Yes.
great man. He started these wars that went on and on forever and
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
We kept fighting them between the Romans kept fighting the Germans, and we
Yeah.
didn't give up and they didn't give up, and so we
Yeah.
kept going, and we are
Constant
eternal
fighting,
enemies.
and
Oh
we're still
wow.
doing it.
And we this needs to be captured and hailed, and okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So this was a very long ongoing project that he did not finish for many years.
Well, if it's 20 books, I guess 20 volumes.
Yeah, it took him a while. Let's just say it took him a
I
while.
would hope so.
Yeah. But speaking of Emperor Nero, Pliny hated him. Nero spent lavish amounts of the Senate's money on entertainment, building amphitheaters and holding athletic contests. And
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
most Romans didn't like him. Most
Hmm.
Romans thought he was self indulgent and tyrannical. And Pliny apparently said that Nero was, quote, an enemy of the human race, end quote.
That bad.
So, really bad.
Maybe this is where it came from, huh? That what is that? When Rome was burning, Nero was fiddling. That
Yes.
quote that came that's become almost like a proverb at this point.
Yes.
I bet you
Yes.
that's where it came from. That kind of hatred, that
Yeah.
deep-seated hatred. Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like he just had no concern for the people of Rome at all.
Hmm.
And he only cares about himself.
But Nero apparently in the beginning he was okay.
Yes.
Early
Yes. He
on,
was,
his
I think
early
in the
days was
beginning he was
he was
okay.
a
He got
decent
worse
fellow.
and worse. Yeah.
He
He
got
got worse
worse.
and
He
worse.
first killed his stepbrother and he lost a bit of himself. And then once he made sure to arrange for the death of his own mother, he
Hmm.
lost all sense of what's right and what's wrong.
So, like in researching this, I was starting to research a little bit about the Roman Empire because that's a big gap in my knowledge. Like the Roman
Mm,
Empire is something I honestly don't know that much about. And so I was like looking at all these emperors and how they succeeded each other and just like assassinations and
yes,
crazy, like,
yeah. This
poisonings
constant
and all
struggle
these
for
things.
power and
Yeah.
constant struggle to conquest other lands.
Yeah, like Nero was crazy, but it was kind of because he was so paranoid all the time that someone's out to get him. And this is
Mm,
kind of a recurring thing, I think, with a lot of the
yeah,
emperors at the
yeah.
time. Like when
Because
you're a Roman emperor,
yeah,
you're
you
watching
live by
your,
the
like,
sword. You
yeah,
live by the sword, you die by the sword. That's what happens.
yeah. And so he was just like, everyone's out to get me. I have to keep everyone under my thumb. And if you dare raise a finger against me or you dare try to dissent or say any argument against me, then you're getting beheaded, you're getting killed,
Yeah, yeah,
like, so no one can oppose him. And he just
yes.
becomes worse and worse and worse. And Pliny, back to Pliny, he semi-retired from the military and
Hmm.
moved to Rome around 59 AD, at which
Hmm. Hmm.
point Nero has been emperor for about 4 to 5 years.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So not that long, but
Yeah.
I think he's already starting to show signs that, he's starting to go crazy a little.
Yeah.
So Pliny had, remember I said, an education in law. And so it seems like for the next few years, he practiced some law, but he deliberately kept a low profile
Yeah.
because, remember, he's like in this equestrian class. He very easily could use his law background to kind of rise and become a very prominent figure, but he
Yeah.
deliberately did not want to attract the attention of Emperor Nero in any
Yes.
way.
Yes.
So he declined lofty state titles. He did
Hmm.
not want to become
Hmm.
like a big
Yeah.
name
Smart
at
man.
all.
Smart man. Fly under the radar
Yeah.
in order to kind of keep your head
Yes.
attached to its neck, to your
Yes,
neck.
exactly. Yeah. So he's not drawing attention to himself. He continued writing during this time. He published a second book called The Life of Pomponius Secundus, which
Hmm.
was a biography about one of his commanders in the German
Hmm.
War.
Hmm.
Which again has been lost somewhere in time. We don't
Hmm.
have
Hmm.
that anymore.
Hmm.
The other two books he wrote during this time were less interesting
Hmm.
and deliberately so. Again,
Hmm.
he's trying to lay low. So they were
Hmm.
books that focused on grammar and rhetoric
Hmm.
and focused on like how to write things more than any particular content.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So
Hmm.
he's just really trying to avoid ruffling any kind of political
Yes.
feathers
Yes.
here.
Let me
Just
live a calm, extremely boring life.
pretend like I am. Pretend like
Yeah.
I
Sounds
don't
like
think
a
he wanted to, but he
yes.
at least had the
s-
foresight that
Very
if,
good sense to lay low
yes,
because
yes,
he didn't trust the people in power.
yeah. And
Yes.
actually, Pliny the Younger, his
Hmm.
nephew,
Hmm.
um, wrote a series of letters about his uncle, and in them he said, quote, he wrote this under Nero in the last years of his reign, when every kind of literary pursuit which was in the least independent or elevated had been rendered dangerous by servitude.
Ah.
So deliberately, Pliny's like, I want to write, but I have to write about something really
Yeah.
boring, really dull
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
absolutely cannot be construed as posing any sort of threat or any
Hmm.
sort of danger to anyone. So I will write about writing.
Yeah, kill all
Yeah.
means about of education so that
Yeah.
we can hold on to power. Hey, doesn't that echo something that's happening more recently?
Yeah, maybe a little.
Hey, I can hear something. I hear something going on out there these days.
So
Anyway,
sad.
all right. So
Yeah.
Pliny was very smart. He,
Yes.
hmm,
So keeping a low profile. In 68 AD, Emperor Nero died,
hmm,
and eventually Vespasian took over the throne. And
okay.
this was great news for Pliny because
Hmm.
he had known Vespasian from his time in the military. They had become
Ah,
good friends,
buddies.
actually.
Yes,
Yes. So his friend is now the Emperor of Rome. And
yes,
so Pliny was now like, great, I can finally shine and,
yes,
not feel any danger. So he
yes.
actually became one of Vespasian's most trusted advisors, advising both Vespasian and his son Titus.
Ah,
And
nice.
Pliny also became a governor of some of Rome's imperial provinces. So
Hmm.
now he's like feeling I
Yes.
can do
Yeah,
whatever I want to
I
do now.
can let
Yeah.
myself shine out a bit. Let
Yes.
my true nature come out a bit.
So he spent most of his days working for Emperor Vespasian, but at night, Pliny kept on writing and studying. He
Mm.
hardly spent any time at night sleeping. um,
Ah,
and Pliny the Younger wrote that his uncle, quote, was indeed a very ready sleeper, sometimes dropping off in the middle of his studies and then waking up again.
wow.
So he's just working so hard and he can just fall asleep at the drop of a hat and
Mm.
then he'll wake up and be
Yes,
like two
fresh and
hours
ready to
later
go
be like,
again.
okay, I have to work again.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. I heard some people who can do that. They would be like, they would be working really hard. And
Hmm.
what they would do is they would go sleep in a chair or something holding a spoon. And
Okay.
as soon as you fall asleep, the spoon falls down and makes a noise, and that wakes them
Hmm.
up. And that
Oh my
just that
God.
micro sleep
Yes.
was enough for them to.
I
recharge
bet
and
he did something like that. I can
yeah,
totally imagine him
yeah,
doing
that
something like
little
that.
micro sleep. You talked about micro sleeps in one of your previous episodes, actually,
Yeah.
and I bet you that's exactly what they were doing. They were like little micro sleeps to kind of
Yes.
get those little brain cells going again, and because the work is very important. Anyway, what's the
Yes.
work that's so important that he can give up sleep of all things?
Turns out that this is when Pliny wrote what he is most famous for, which is Naturalis Historia, which translates to natural history.
Hmm.
And this is the largest literary work with over 1 million words to have survived intact from the Roman Empire. And
Wow.
it's actually Pliny's only surviving work to the
Okay.
modern day.
Yeah.
And many historians call it the first encyclopedia ever written because, unlike most books at the time, Naturalis Historia was basically a compilation of facts.
Yes.
And I use that word loosely here, which you'll
Yes.
see in a minute.
Yeah.
But it didn't try to tell you a story or it didn't try to teach you about a certain topic. So it wasn't like a
Yeah.
textbook. It
Yeah.
was meant to be a book where you could go and look up something whenever
Yeah.
you wanted. You would just have it
Yeah.
in your house. If you
Yeah.
had something that you wanted to learn quickly
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
about, you could go look
Yeah.
it up in the Naturalist Historia. It wasn't meant to be a book that you read from beginning to end,
Right.
unlike most other books at the time.
Right. 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 Right.
And so this was kind of like a very new concept for people. Like,
Yes, yes. It's
wait,
not a story. It's
yeah,
just like you go to the A section and look at ants, and then you go to the
yeah,
F section and look at something about foxes, things like that,
yes,
and
yes.
just
So
get little blurbs of information.
yeah, and this was very like different at the time. Like no one had
Yes,
done something like
this
this
a
before.
unique concept.
Yes, very unique. So, Naturalis Historia was a compilation of 37 books arranged
Hmm,
into 10 volumes, which
hmm.
covered topics including astronomy, anthropology, zoology, botany, geology, pharmacology, like all the ologies.
Did he know this stuff, or did he get others to come and work with him?
That is a great question. So, it is very important to note that these books were not always scientifically accurate.
Okay, so is it more like these are my observations about?
Yeah, so what Pliny did basically is he observed some stuff. He also a lot of his time was spent reading what other people had written, like other great minds of the time, other scientists or other, philosophers, what things that they had written, he was studying and trying to understand and then putting what they had learned or their takes into his compilation. So
Yeah,
if he was like, oh, I don't really know anything about foxes, but I know this guy who studies them, let me read
yeah,
everything that he
he did, and
understands
then
about foxes and then I'll
incorporate
put
that
them into
in.
this book.
Hmm,
So a
hmm,
lot of his time is spent studying all these different texts, all these different
hmm,
people, and then also talking, like corresponding with these
hmm.
great minds and talking
Yeah.
to
So
them.
compilation. He's more of a
Yes.
compiler of all knowledge. Okay, all.
But at the same time, when we look back at the Naturalist Historia, there's a lot of it, like a lot of things that are wrong that we know
Hmm.
today are completely incorrect,
Yes,
that he
yes,
totally just got wrong. And some of
yes,
that, of course, is because he is living in ancient Rome and they just don't have like the scientific technology that we have and
yes.
the understanding that we have after
Yeah, and
2000
also
years.
knowledge
So,
itself has evolved from
yes,
before. Even in terms of, I don't know, did they already know that the Earth was round? The Earth
I
Earth
think
was
so.
flatted. That
At this
what did they
time,
think? Yeah, I
I
don't
think
even
they thought it
remember
was, I
now.
think they understood it was round at this
It
time.
they knew it was round
Yeah,
by
they
this
knew it was
point.
round because
Yeah,
they had observed like eclipses and things like that. And so they kind of understood the earth was round.
yeah. But there
But
will be
for
things like that.
example, yeah, I have some examples. Like he thought that due to eclipses and what he
Hmm.
observed with eclipses, he thought that the moon must be bigger than the earth, since
Mm.
from our perspective, it seems like the moon can completely blot out the sun.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah,
that
yeah.
obviously is incorrect. He
Right,
also
right, right.
thought that the craters on the moon were like puddles on the
Huh.
moon, that the moon
Yes.
was drawing up moisture from the Earth's
Huh.
oceans and it
Yes,
was
yes,
traveling to
yes.
the moon and creating puddles
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. So tides due to the phases of the moon. He was tying it like that. Hmm.
Yeah, I was like, okay, so at least he figured out that the moon and the tides have something to do
Yeah,
with
there's
each
something to
other.
do with each other. Yeah,
Yeah.
but then he got it wrong at the end. It's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But at least they made a stab at it.
Yes. And also there's like there are some there are some sources that also said, he's reading all of these things from scientists and philosophers, but he's not actually fully understanding it. So
Yeah,
whatever he wrote was also sometimes
yeah.
like if you actually went and read the source material of what the scientist at the time said, that scientist got it right, but Pliny got it wrong because Pliny
Got
didn't
it.
fully understand what the
Didn't fully
scientist was trying to
understand.
say.
So
And
maybe the
so,
tides and the moon are
yeah.
one very good example of that.
Yes, yes. So he was like, "Oh, there's something, they're tied to
Something
each
going
other
on.
somehow."
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he
All
got a
right.
lot of stuff wrong. But that being said, these books were not necessarily meant to be completely scientifically accurate because
Mm,
I like Pliny did not write it with that intent, is what I
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
There's a lot in there about politics and Pliny's personal observations and thoughts
Mm,
about religion and society. So it's not meant to be this like very unbiased,
yeah,
scientific fact thing the way that encyclopedias are today,
yeah,
where they don't take a side and they're just like, these are the facts. He
yeah,
was putting in his 2 cents in
yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
For example, he tells us that the best thing a person can do to be godly
Hmm,
is, quote, to assist man is to be God. This is the
hmm.
path to eternal glory. This is the path which Roman nobles formerly pursued, and this is the path which is now pursued by the greatest ruler of our age, Vespasian Augustus, he who
Hmm.
has come to the relief of an exhausted empire as well as by his sons. So
Ah,
it's like
okay.
clearly you have this really high opinion about Vespasian. You
Yeah,
have very strong opinions about what it means to be a good person.
yeah.
And you're, you
This
know,
in the same sort of keeping an irreverent tone going here. There
mm-hmm,
was a pastor who was trying to teach very young children how to be closer to God and how to get into heaven.
mm-hmm,
So he asked these very young kids, like, if I pray to God every day, will I go to heaven? And they all
mm-hmm.
say no. And okay, if I come to the church and clean all the pews and every day and make everything nice and be good,
Yeah.
will I go to heaven? They say no. If I give alms to the needy and if I help all the poor people of this town, will I go to heaven? They say no. So what will
Mm-hmm.
get me to heaven? He said, you have to be dead.
Oh my goodness. I mean, true though. You have to be. Oh my God.
You have to be dead. You have to be
Yeah.
dead to go to heaven.
Yeah.
All this other stuff is not
It's
getting
like,
you
it doesn't
anywhere.
matter. It doesn't
It doesn't
matter.
matter.
Yeah.
Going nowhere near heaven.
Yeah. Oh my
So
God.
okay, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I took it
No,
off to a
no, no,
different
no.
different angle, but maybe he meant assist God. He might have meant in the terms that be good to all the people, and that's
Yes,
what pleases God.
assist man. Yeah. So
Yeah,
being
assist men in order to reach God, and that means
yes.
that theme is a very recurring theme in all religions actually. But it's a good concept.
It is a good
It's a
concept,
good
but
concept. Okay.
it is definitely Pliny's concept. It's his own 2 cents.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
then
not
I think he's trying to just keep it simple, because if you think about the times in those days, this was the time, right, where Christianity was slowly rising. It was just around the time, because the Romans, they
hmm.
believed in the Roman gods and they didn't like Christians.
Yeah.
And in fact, though, that whole
Hmm.
when Rome was burning, Nero was fiddling. Nero, in order to avert blame from himself, had actually blamed Christians for the fire and put a whole
Mm,
bunch of them to death. So there was a bit of a religious warfare already that had started. These people
yeah.
believed the polytheistic Roman gods kind of thing, and here
Hmm.
the Christianity was rising on the side, and
Yeah.
so I think it might be a sign of the times where Pliny was almost being like a Buddha, where he says, "Hey, listen, keep it simple. Just if
Yeah.
you want to reach God, just be good to everybody.
Yeah.
Don't make it so complicated. and
Yeah.
don't bring so many different names into it, and don't say my God and your God and her God and his God.
Yeah.
Just be good to everybody, and that'll make God
Yeah, which is
happy.
it's a great concept, and I'm like
Yes.
I
Yeah.
fully agree. Like that's all
Yeah.
you need to do. It's
Yeah.
just interesting that it made it into a like the first
Yeah.
encyclopedia.
Yeah, but in those days there was absolutely no concept of separation of church and state, and
Oh yeah.
so yeah, so the concept of God was completely integrated into everybody's life, and what was considered scientific could also include the concept of God. What was considered political could also include God, and
Mhm.
so I can see him saying, "We have to figure
Yeah.
this out." Yeah.
Yeah. Hi everyone, Aarati here. I hope you're enjoying the podcast. If so, and you wish someone would tell your science story, I founded a science communications company called SciComm, that's SYKOM, that can help. SciComm blends creativity with scientific accuracy to create all types of science communications content, including explainer videos, slide presentations, science writing, and more. We work with academic researchers, tech companies, nonprofits, or really any scientist to help simplify your science. Check us out at SciCommer.com. That's SYKOMMER.com. Okay, back to the story. Okay, so in addition to his 2 cents that he's adding in to everything, there's also, like I said, a lot that's blatantly false or things that I wouldn't necessarily chalk up to the limits of science. It was just wrong. He did
Hmm.
not do his due diligence at all in some of these things. So he included a bunch of flat out rumors about mythology, like the
Hmm.
supposed existence of creatures called Sciapodae,
Hmm.
which was a magical dwarf that
Hmm.
had one large foot and, quote, they are in the habit of lying on their backs during a time of extreme heat and
Huh.
protect themselves from the sun by the shade of their feet,
Oh
end
my
quote.
God. But to give him the benefit of the doubt, it could be that
Hmm.
these rumors were so well integrated into his world at that time, his little world at that
Yes.
time, that he believed them to be fact.
Yeah. But he's including these things that are like rumors, like somebody went to India on a ship. They claim that they saw a Skyapode. Other people kind of say this, and then he
Hmm.
doesn't actually go and check. Like,
Yes.
has anyone literally actually seen this thing or
Yes.
not? It's just he's heard of its existence. He
Huh.
knows what it's supposed to be. He
Huh.
includes it in the book,
Yeah.
and it's he's included it without really checking to see whether, like, does a zoologist know about these things,
Ah.
does has anyone
Yes.
actually like seen
Yes.
them, do they actually exist? He's
Yes.
just like, yeah, we're
This
including
looks
that.
interesting and
Yeah.
make my book more interesting.
Yeah,
Let me do it.
but I think this is where he kind of gets his kind of crazy cult following, is
Hmm.
like these random things that he's included in the
Yes,
book
I can
that
see
today
that.
people just kind of find hilarious. Like,
Yes,
why
yes.
is this?
This is part of the first
Yeah.
encyclopedia. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see
Yeah.
that. It's like, and I
Yes.
bet you it's one of those trivia things where, do
Yeah.
you know what was included in the first encyclopedia? Do you know about
Yeah.
Skyapode? Wrong or right doesn't matter. More wrong is
Mhm.
better because then everybody doesn't know it.
It's
Only you know it.
funnier. Yeah.
Yeah, only
And
you
I
know
think
it.
it's just funny from our perspective, like knowing that he thought the craters of the moon were puddles and that these like mythical creatures existed. I think people just find it really hilarious that
Yes.
he was like diligently studying all of this
Yeah.
stuff and writing it down and
Yeah.
as if it's fact or
Yeah.
whatever. And people just find it really funny.
Yeah, it's like I can see the cult following. Okay.
So, although Pliny claims that the books were well researched,
Hmm.
containing over 20,000 facts, that he had spoken to over 100 expert authors and read over 2,000 books compiling all this information, he didn't keep it like strictly verifiable. And as I was researching this, I kind of just got the general feeling that people thought that although Pliny was very enthusiastic about science, he himself was not the best scientist
Yes,
because
that
he
makes
wasn't
sense.
sticking to any sort of impartial scientific method
Yeah.
and he was often stating his opinions as facts.
Yeah.
But that being said, it was very impressive. And I think like the reason people also remember him is because he is the first to kind of try and make this scientific data accessible to people
Yes.
by making the attempt to review so many different fields and
Yeah.
compile all of
Compile.
these
Yeah.
facts into one
Yes.
place. Like
Yes.
take all of human knowledge and
Yes.
put it into one set of books
Yes,
that
which you
people
can
can
have
reference at
on
any
one
time.
shelf in one place, and
Yeah.
then you can just go there and look at it and look at the
Yes.
topic. Nice, nice.
Yes. So
The
it's
concept of
quite
the
an
encyclopedia.
ambitious,
Yes,
yeah, it's quite an ambitious undertaking, even though he wasn't quite accurate about it. The concept was good, and the fact that he wanted to share this kind of knowledge with the common man and teach the common man everything that they had learned from nature and working with nature is very laudable. It also is interesting to people like archaeologists today and historians because it kind of gives us a glimpse into the past because he was writing about all of these, societal things and
mm,
political things and
mm.
economic things. So we get a really clear picture of what it was like living in ancient Roman times
That's
that
useful.
we would not have gotten if just by digging up artifacts. Like we
Yes,
don't really understand.
piecing together with archaeological diggings is not the same as
Yes.
having this all written down.
Yeah. So we kind of get a really clear idea of like what foods they ate, what the fashion of the time was,
Yeah.
what was
Plus, what
considered
they were
high
thinking,
art.
which you can never get from an archaeological dig, like, oh, they believed in all
Yeah.
these weird rumors of, weird creatures and what their thoughts was about the moon. You would never
Yeah.
have that
Yeah.
because it's in the mind. It doesn't translate into an archaeological dig.
Yeah. And same with like their value system and how their society
Yeah,
hierarchy was set up and
yeah,
how like their economy functioned, things
yes,
like that, we
yeah,
would not really have a good idea of. And so that in itself makes this text just invaluable.
yeah,
And the fact that he has put all of that kind of
yeah.
stuff into there where he's like, oh, these ladies prancing around with these jewels like diamonds and rubies, and they should be focused more on, godly pursuits rather than
Hmm,
decking themselves up with the
hmm.
highest fashionable emeralds.
Yeah,
And we're like,
yeah,
oh, okay, so emeralds were in high fashion at the time.
yeah,
Good to know.
yeah,
Like, we did
yeah.
not know that,
Nice,
you
nice.
know?
All the
Yeah.
derivations. Yeah, nice.
Yeah. And so I thought it was especially cool that he wrote about technologies that the Romans used at the time, some
Hmm.
of which we do have archaeological evidence of, but some of which we never would have known that the ancient Romans were able to do.
Hmm.
Like he wrote about how they used water mills to grind grain or use
Oh,
a flood of water to find mineral veins in rocks when mining.
oh, wow. So those techniques had already started. Hmm.
Yeah, and some of those things don't leave behind any archaeological evidence, so we never
Correct.
would have known that,
That
they were
hydraulic
using
power
water
already
mills and things
existed.
like that.
Yeah, the use of
Yeah.
hydraulic power existed already.
Yes.
Nice.
And sometimes actually today if archaeologists find an object dating back to that time and they don't know what it is, they will try to look it up in the Naturalis Historia and see if Pliny wrote about it. And
Can we
maybe they
please
can
figure
figure it
out
out.
what they call this?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So they are
wow.
kind of using it like an
Yeah.
encyclopedia as
It
he
is still
intended.
being used, still useful.
Yes. Yes.
Nice, nice.
He published his first edition in 77 AD, and from then on, he spent his time revising it. Pliny, remember, though, is still working for Emperor Vespasian.
Yeah, yeah.
And at some point, he had appointed Pliny to be an admiral in the Roman Navy.
Okay.
So in 79 AD, Pliny was stationed at Misenum, which is in the province of Naples. And if we have any history buffs in the
Hmm.
audience, they may have kind of realized where this is going already because 79 AD is the same year that Mount Vesuvius infamously erupts.
Oh.
And it is one of the deadliest volcanic eruptions in history.
Hmm.
The eruption released a cloud of gases and superheated rock, pumice, and ash
Hmm.
21 miles into the sky,
Okay.
which then rained down on the surrounding cities of Pompeii and Herculaneum.
Hmm.
The eruption released 100,000 times the thermal energy of an atom bomb and
Oh,
lasted over 2 days.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is something.
Yeah. Isn't that
Oh, must
crazy?
have destroyed those places.
It absolutely did.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
It's one of those things like the destruction of the city of Pompeii due to Mount Vesuvius is
Yeah.
in countless documentaries. Like, we still have those sites where
Yeah.
people were kind of just buried in ash.
Oh.
And you can see the outlines of people because they didn't have the time to run away. So
Oh
they're
my
just kind of
God. Just
crouched in their
frozen.
houses. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
They have been converted to stone probably at this point, but they were people
Yes.
once.
Yes.
Oh
And
God.
you can just kind of see like people were trying to take their jewelry or trying to take their precious things and
Yeah.
leave, but
Yeah.
they just couldn't leave in time. So,
Frozen in those
yeah.
positions.
And I think a lot of people were also just trying to hunker down in their houses
Yes.
and hope that they could just survive by
Going under
staying
the
put in
bed
one
or
place.
something. Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, horrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's just one of those like disasters that happened
Huge,
that is just
huge one.
and today people are
Yeah,
just fascinated by it because it was such a tragedy.
yeah, yeah. That sounds bad.
The ash and pumice spewed into the air, completely blotting out the sun, and
Yeah,
Pliny the Younger, who
yeah.
also lived in Misenum at the time,
Oh,
wrote, quote, "It was now day everywhere else, but there a deeper darkness prevailed than the
hmm,
thickest night." So
horrible.
Misenum is where Pliny is stationed at the
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
and it's nearby when the volcano is erupting.
Right, right, right.
So he prepares an exploratory vessel because he wants to go get a closer look at the
Oh
volcano
no,
erupting.
no way,
Yes,
no way.
yes. Which
Okay,
is
this
again why
is,
people again have this like cult following of him because it's
yeah,
like, are you insane? Like,
yes,
this huge
yes,
volcano is
yeah.
erupting. Don't
Everybody is
go get a
like,
closer look.
yeah, everybody is like
Yeah.
I almost thought that he might want to go help people or something, but no, he wants to go take a closer look. Oh
Yes.
my
So
God.
that was kind of his secondary thing. So first
Yes.
was, ooh, this volcano's erupting.
I need to see
I want to
more.
go
Yeah.
see it and then maybe
Yeah.
I could write about it in my Naturalis
Okay.
Historia. Like,
Yeah.
ooh, this is interesting.
Let me share
Yeah.
this. Let me go get a first-hand experience and then go share it in my
Yeah.
book. Oh God. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
So
people are like, are you nuts? You're actually
he
nuts.
goes to it
Yeah.
in a small vessel that too.
So he's
Mm.
preparing an exploratory vessel, but then he gets an urgent message from one
Yeah.
of his friends,
Yeah.
Rectina, who
Mm.
is stranded in a city called Stabae, which is right across the bay from Mycenium
Okay.
or Misenum.
Mm.
So she's trapped there,
Mm.
and her only way out of Stabae is by leaving by ship.
Okay.
So, upon hearing from Rectina, Pliny immediately sets sail to go to Stabae and rescue her and try to rescue anyone else who might be in need of his aid,
Yes.
including Senator Pomponianus, who is, over there.
Yes.
Important to note that Pliny the Younger opts to stay home in Misenum at
Okay.
this time.
Yeah. Somebody had sense in that family. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. He's like, no thanks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Enjoy.
You do
Yeah.
you.
So he does not want to get any closer to this eruption.
No.
So, yeah, which logical.
Hello. I have a brain.
So Pliny the Elder and his crew set out and they sail across the bay. And as they are sailing, pumice stones are raining down on the ship. And the
Holy.
helmsman is like, we need to turn back. This
Yeah.
is really bad. We
Why
need to
are
turn
you
back.
putting a poor boatman into this situation?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
Pliny made them press on,
Oh
saying,
no.
fortune favors the brave.
Oh Lord, no.
Yeah.
And oh Lord, there are so many counter. It's like those who fight and run away live to fight another day. What
Yes.
happened to that
Yes.
one? What happened to
Yeah.
that
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah. Run away. Run
one? Run
away.
away so I can fight another day.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Clearly not his mentality, though.
Ah.
So they reached Stabae
Mm-hmm,
and they found Senator Pomponianus,
mm-hmm.
but the same winds that they had used to get to Stabae now prevented the ship from leaving.
Duh.
So,
Yes.
yeah, so they're
Duh,
stuck
because
there.
yeah, because it's not motorized yet. Hello.
Yes.
You have to wait for
Yes.
the wind to change now.
Yeah.
Nice. So you
Yeah.
in order to rescue your trapped friend, got
Yeah, have
yourself
become
trapped right
trapped
next to
yourself.
her.
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Ah, Lord. Okay.
But I mean, apparently Pliny did not seem too concerned by
Okay.
them being trapped at Stabae. He decided that since they were stuck, they might as well have dinner and a bath.
Okay. Go and see Vesuvius, maybe. We are
Yes,
trapped
let's
here
go.
anyway. Let's go to
Yeah,
the
let's go
let's go to the
see it.
place which actually burned down. Let's go to Pompeii and where it burned down. Let's go
Yeah.
there. Hmm.
Well, they can't
Yeah.
because that night they are forced to hunker down in a building while pumice stones are raining down all around them. And at one point, they are seriously debating whether it's better to stay inside the building or leave because the roof is threatening to collapse in on them under the weight of stone.
Wait, I'm a little bit confused still. Initially, you said that the Mount Vesuvius burst, and then it
Yeah.
was affecting two places, and that was
Pompeii and
Pompeii
Herculaneum.
and
Herculaneum.
Herculaneum. But and then this Stabae, where
Hmm.
he's now trapped, also
Yeah.
seems to be affected. So,
Yeah.
is it um,
I think it
like
kind of depends on where the
the
winds
radio?
are
Yeah.
shifting and how far away you are
Okay, so
from the
he has
mountain.
basically gone into the danger zone, and this,
So, when I was looking at a map of this,
yeah,
you can imagine the bay kind of like the letter C, a
yeah,
backwards letter C.
yeah,
So, Mycenum is at the top of the
yeah,
letter C,
yeah,
Stabae is at the bottom,
yeah.
and this whole inner part of the sea is filled with water.
Okay,
And Mount Vesuvius is right in the middle of the sea, right
okay,
here, and
yeah,
it's exploding.
okay,
And Pompeii is kind of southeast,
yeah,
I guess,
yeah,
of this.
yeah,
So and the wind is blowing that way, so
yeah.
it's getting affected. And Herculaneum is right at the base of Mount Vesuvius, so these
Okay,
two places are getting really badly affected.
yeah,
And now the people at Stabae
yeah,
have nowhere to go because they can't go towards Mount Vesuvius
yes,
because it's exploding. So the only way they can go
yes,
is away by ship
yes. And then the
this
winds
way.
are not favoring that.
Yeah, and the winds are not favoring that. So he was okay up here in Mycenium because the
Yes,
winds were blowing
allowing him
everything
to
kind
go
of
downward,
southeast.
but the winds were
Yeah,
not
and
letting them. Yes.
yeah, so they're trapped there.
Oh, goodness. All right.
So they're hunkering down in a building while the pumice stones are raining down all around them.
Hmm.
And at one point, they're seriously debating whether it's better to leave or stay
Hmm.
because the roof is threatening to collapse under the
Hmm.
weight of the stones on top
Hmm.
of it.
Hmm.
Finally, they decide to leave, but as they are fleeing, Pliny the Elder collapses and he's unable to breathe.
Oh.
So, according to Pliny the Younger, Pliny the Elder had
Hmm.
some sort of respiratory condition, possibly asthma,
Oh.
and
Of
also
course.
he wasn't like really in the best shape. He was kind of overweight and,
Oh my
not taking
goodness.
care of his health in
And
general.
yet, when danger
Yeah.
beckoned, he said yes.
Yes.
He answered
Yes.
yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he collapses, and the group can't do anything about it. They
Yeah.
can't really carry him.
Yeah.
He's a big guy. And so they have to leave him where he fell.
Hmm.
2 days later, when the eruption was over, the group returned back to where Pliny the Elder had fallen. And he's right there where he had fallen, and he's dead.
Okay.
There are no marks on his body. And in fact, people said it looked like he was just asleep.
Hmm.
Pliny the Younger thinks he died from inhaling the toxic gases from the
Yeah.
volcano,
Duh.
and others say it might have been a stroke from trying to run.
Yeah.
Probably a combination of the
Yeah.
two, I could
Yeah.
imagine.
Yeah.
When all was said and done, over 2,000 people died when Mount Vesuvius erupted,
Hmm.
but Pliny the Elder was definitely the most famous to have died in
To
that.
have died in that. The father of the Encyclopedia died also due to Mount Vesuvius eruption of
Yes.
79 AD.
Which is
Holy.
just even more interesting because I've watched documentaries about Mount Vesuvius and
Yeah.
Pompeii and things like
Yeah.
that. And it's definitely one of those things that just kind of captures your mind with the horror of it and the
Yes.
destruction of it. It's just
Yes.
like so crazy and you can't tear your eyes away and you're just imagining these people. And yet I'd never heard of Pliny the Elder
No.
in all of this.
Yeah. He kind of, even spite of his stature, he did get dwarfed by such a big event. So
Yes.
the event of Mount Vesuvius was so horrifying that it didn't matter. Like, probably a couple of senators died too, or something, maybe, the people
Yeah.
who were in charge of those cities. So big names
Yes,
must have died there.
definitely. Yeah, but because of his encyclopedia and it surviving, we still remember him today and not
Yes.
all the other
Oh
senators who
my
might have died and
goodness.
anyone else who may have died. They all faded into obscurity, but Pliny
Yes.
the Elder, we
Yes.
still remember today.
That is such a fun story, in a way
Yeah.
tragic, and it's the story of not quite a scientist. It's a wannabe scientist.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
He's
it's
a
a little bit of a
wannabe.
different story
Yeah, it's
today.
a bit
Yeah,
of a wannabe
definitely.
scientist, and that's fun too,
Yes.
actually, because science is open to everybody. Everybody can
Yes.
be, and yeah, I like, he didn't keep up with the rigors that were required, but his intention was
Hmm.
good, and his ultimately he did do something extremely novel, and that is the
Yeah.
documentation part of it. Like, as a laboratory scientist, you say, we are told this over and over: if you have not entered your experiment into a notebook, then that experiment does not exist. It's as good
Hmm.
as you did not do it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, he was not the scientist part, but he brought in the documentation part, which is
Yeah.
crucial. It's like, if you didn't document it, it does not exist, which is
Yeah.
true today after so many
Yes.
other archaeological digs. That documentation is what is allowing us to understand the times better, and therefore make better derivations of what was happening in those days. So, crucial contribution.
Yeah, and I think the reason I also wanted to cover him was because he's like a very early science communicator and
Yeah,
he was working really hard to make this information accessible to the common people
yeah,
and kind of teach them
yeah,
about the science that would have otherwise been inaccessible to them.
yes.
And
Very good
even though he
point.
didn't get it completely right, like his intention was good. His intention of spreading knowledge was very good.
And also, even though he got things wrong, the
Hmm.
ultimate product was good. It
Yes.
even the fact that he went and documented all those rumors,
Hmm.
it gives us
Yeah.
very strong insight into how those people thought in those days, which is also
Yeah.
very helpful. Like, hey,
Yeah.
they believed these kind of things. That's interesting. Look where we have
Yeah.
come. Things like that.
Yeah.
So that's very useful.
Yeah. So that's his story. Welcome to the cult of Pliny the Elder. You are
Interesting.
now officially
I am
inducted.
inducted. I'm making
Yes.
great strides. Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks for listening. If you have a suggestion for a story we should cover or thoughts you want to share about an episode, reach out to us at smarttpodcast.com. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky at Smart Tea Podcast and listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. And leave us a rating or comment. It helps us grow. New episodes are released every other Wednesday. See you next time.